Welcome to Leland Fly Fishing, Fly Tying Night tonight. I'm Brandon Moon, and tonight we're going to be tying up a variation of a Thread Frenchie. I call it a Pulse Fire Frenchie because instead of a standard dubbing collar, I'm going to do a dub loop that's going to give it a little bit more of a pulsing action and soft hackle, kind of like a CDC collar type effect. So with that, we want to invite you to make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you think of the pattern in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. The hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium TOGATTA ML 501. I tie this anywhere from a size 12 to 16, and I'm just going to start my thread right behind the bead of the hook. I'm using Semperfli Classic Wax 12/0 in Wood Duck. This is a great color for a Calibeatis. I'm going to wrap and use that tag end to give me a nice smooth underbody all the way back to the bend of the hook. I'm now going to take a razor blade, trim that out. At this point, we're going to tie in our tail. I'm going to take some Mottled dyed cinnamon ginger India henback saddle, and I'm just going to take a couple of the fibers off of that. You don't want too many fibers in this tail, just a nice slim tail. I'm going to measure it to be just about half the length of a hook shank, and we'll secure that in on the top. It's a little longer than I want it, so I'm just going to take and gently pull that and shorten it up just a little bit until it's where I want. And then we'll take and secure that fiber down. I'm going to trim it off just behind the bead of the hook there. Usually I can get all the fibers trapped and covered up, but I didn't get them all this time, so I'm just going to, instead of taking a whole bunch of time, we'll trim those out and we'll cover it up here in a minute. Forgive my shakiness. I did have hernia surgery the other day, so I'm still kind of feeling the after effects. We're going to put in a 0.2 millimeter black Semperfli fly tying wire. This is a zero tarnish wire, and I'm going to use that wire just like I did my thread to create a nice even underbody as I wrap backwards to the tie-in point on the tail there. We're going to wrap back there. Now I'm going to take 2 wraps underneath the tail just to help prop that up. Now I'm going to wrap forward, all the way forward again. At this point, I'm going to do a little bit of a body taper by going backwards. And I'm going to do a 3-step body taper, so I'm going to break it into quarters. So I'll go 3/4 of the way back, all the way forward again, and then we'll go halfway back, and then forward again, and then we'll break it up on that quarter mark, and then we'll go forward again. From here, I'm just going to do a little half hitch, set my thread off on the bobbin rest to the side, and I'm going to use the rotary feature of this vise. And we're just going to wrap nice open spiral wraps to create the ribbed look on this. And I'm going to wrap that all the way up into the bead. I'm going to take my thread and I'm just going to secure that down over the top a couple times in front, and then I'll lock it in place in front. You can cut these out with scissors. I like to helicopter and save my scissors from breaking. Once that's out, I'm going to take in whip finish here with 2 whip finishes, and you'll see why in just a second. Trim the thread out. Now I'm going to take some Solarez bone dry with the brush on applicator. I'm going to get a small amount, make sure I don't have too much on there, and we're just going to dab that on there. And this is going to help us secure up that hook, the thread there, give it a nice sheen to the body without building up bulk. so we get the segmentation as well. Cure that up with our UV pin. Takes about 10 seconds. Then I'm going to take some 12-aught classic wax in floral orange. And I'm just going to put that on there. About a hook eye length back. Once I've trimmed that out and cleaned it up, I'm going to create a dubbing loop. Secure that in. I'm going to put my smaying tool to hold it in place there, rest it up against my bobbin rest. Now I'm going to half hitch again so that I can use my rotary tool in a moment. Now I'm going to take a very small fine clump of pine squirrel dubbing in rust brown, and I'm just going to set that in that dubbing noodle there, or dubbing loop. I want this up closer to the top, as close as possible. Now I'm just going to take and put my finger on there for a little bit of pressure and spin it. You can see how it spins as the dubbing tool's spinning. And I'm just going to wrap that to create my thorax. You can see it's giving it a nice buggy look, kind of like a Duracell with the CDC collar. So I'm going to secure that dubbing loop off, set it to the side, preen my fibers back. You can use a dubbing brush to help clean those up and give it a little bit more dubbing flair there. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, put it on my thread, and then I'll do 2 or 3 wraps to put that glue on the thread base there of my head. And then I'm going to do a whip finish real quick with 3 turns. This is going to help secure up that knot. Razor blade trims that thread out, and then I'll trim out the dubbing loop as well. And there you have the Pulse Fire Frenchie Nymph. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful evening.